one can count North Koreans as volunteers, I guess. I think that North Koreans in that capacity would be used just like Russian forces. This is not just a conflict that is bounded to a region, in Europe. This is becoming a world conflict and is now involving actively North Korea.
Hello everyone, today we are very excited to welcome Kateryna Stepanenko from ISW, Institute Study of War, a leading think tank on military and conflict studies. Before we begin, Haejun, could you give us an update on North Korean involvement in Kursk area, which was the Russian territory before but now occupied Ukrainian forces?
Yes, but can we hear her name pronunciation one more time before we move on?
My name is Kateryna Stepanenko, and I'm a deputy team lead and Russia analyst on the Russia team at the Institute for the Study of War.
Thank you for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So before we go into the interview, I'm just briefly going to talk about the current status of the war situation where North Korean troops are being deployed. We heard that about 10,000 North Korean troops are already in the combat, and they are actually some casualties that we're seeing.
The evidence now suggests that North Korea has sent around 10,000 soldiers to train in eastern Russia. And some of these DPRK troops have already moved closer to Ukraine.
What's the current situation like in your current view?
Right now, it's a very complicated, very emerging news story. And the most important part, the things that we're looking for. Number one, is this a single type of a deployment, or is this going to be a pipeline, which is something that we can talk about for this interview. And then the second one is, how are the Russian forces using North Korean forces in either Ukraine or in Russia?
So I just want to ask, why is Kursk region? So Kursk region is right now occupied by Ukraine, but could you explain more about what happened in Kursk region and also Russian forces facing challenge there right now?
So Ukrainian forces launched a limited incursion into Kursk Oblast in August of 2024. Yes. What is important to know about the Kursk incursion is that the Ukrainian objective is not to capture all of Kursk Oblast, to wage war into Russia and advance and take major cities. The objective essentially is to pull Russian forces from other directions. So why are we here? We are here because Putin decided not to prioritize the liberation of Kursk Oblast and repelling Ukrainian forces decisively. There are several reasons for this. Number one, it's the border line between Ukraine and Russia right now is around 1,000 kilometers. It's extremely hard to defend that stretch of land. In any case, to mount an effective defense, you do need to have personnel. You need to have people watching that area. And for Putin, who suffers pretty significant manpower problems because he's not mobilizing, he's not declaring mobilization, martial law, he is in a position where he can't defend that border. He cannot also right now repel the Kursk incursion without having more personnel, but to repel the incursion, he needs to pull more personnel from the offensive positions that he has in Ukraine. So it's a catch-22 for Putin, and instead of mobilizing, he decided to tap in and call North Korea, and have that personnel arrive into Kursk Oblast, which is a really interesting case study into his decision-making. He's going all the way around to North Korea to avoid mobilizing men in St. Petersburg and Moscow, going around this very irregular, kind of crazy way, right, to find more forces.
As we heard from you, Putin does not want to mobilize internally, and that's why he's pulling people from North Korea. But would he actually find them useful other than using them as a human shield? What would be their usage? Why would Putin find them useful other than having not to mobilize from his own country?
Most Russian infantry is not just being used in assaults, in continuing these meat-grinding assaults on Pokrovsk, on Kurakhove, on Toretsk. And so I think that North Koreans in that capacity would be used just like Russian forces, just like all of the foreign mercenaries that Russia had recruited in the past. I'm sure this summer you've seen a lot of reports of African citizens being involved in combat
Even
operations.
Chinese, right?
Chinese, Bangladesh, Serbia, they were used in the same capacity that Russians were used. I don't see them, having any other very distinguished role if the conditions stay the way that they're described.
So, Russia, do they need more troops than right now? Like it said, like 10,000 to 12,000 North Korean soldiers, but in order to defend that area, they need more soldiers?
They need thousands and thousands of soldiers.
So do you think this is going to be a recurrent problem where Putin might seek more people from North Korea?
I think that he's probably going to use it as a pipeline for fourth generation. So it will depend on whether Kim is going to let him do that. Putin is absolutely going to exploit it to as much as he can because the ultimate goal is to avoid mobilization.
And their argument, North Korean and Russian argument, is that they're doing within the international law. They had a military pact like last June or July, and North Korea too will be using only the area the Ukraine occupied, which is in Russia side they got attacked, right? Do you think North Korea troops will be using in the different area and also probably attack the Ukraine territory as well?
I think that Putin certainly probably wants to have North Koreans involved in combat operations in Ukraine because he needs to continue the offensive operations. And the current toll that it takes is around 30,000 men, right, to maintain the battles that we see on a daily basis around Pokrovsk, around Donetsk. He is currently able to generate around 30,000 personnel from volunteer recruitment. So, like, recruiting Russians across every region, offering them 1 to 2 million rubles just to sign up, which is a lot of money for Russians. Average Russian salary is around...
How much is it in dollar?
I think it's around 20,000.
20,000.
Just for signing up.
Just for signing up.
Wow.
So
What if
4.6 million for first year of service with salaries included. That's around $50,000. That's humongous money for Russian. Because I think the average income is around 1 million point something rubles for a year. Average yearly income.
how much in dollar? I'm sorry.
That's around 20,000.
20,000. Okay.
So it is a huge
More than
financial
double
cost.
the amount.
Right. It's a huge financial responsibility, but it's a short-term responsibility to pay them the monthly, sign-up bonuses or the one-time sign-up bonuses and the monthly salaries. But they're also signing up for a long-term state benefits, right? If you're a veteran, your children can go to college for free and you can get an apartment and your wife will get 5 million rubles if you die, which is a lot of money. And so it is important to think about those things because Putin is signing up himself, for a very costly economic situation in which not only is he depleting his labor market, but he's also making it very hard for any other organization or company to compete with the Ministry of Defense because no one else is offering this much money. So, all of this tells us a very peculiar picture, which is the volunteer recruitment campaign that has been working for 2 years is dying down. And then now, he needs to generate forces because he wants to continue the offensive operations in Ukraine to convince the West to negotiate and surrender Ukraine. This is not a very sustainable long-term model. This model is going to crash in 12 to 18 months if he doesn't fix this, right?
As your Ukraine distance, so probably North Korean people listening and also North Korean soldiers within North Korea probably will send to the Russia front later on, but they might be listened. So would you have any message to them?
I don't know if I have a message to North Koreans, but I definitely have a message to all of the supporters of Ukraine. This is really the opportunity to help Ukraine not only defeat Russia, but also severely undermine Russia's axis of evil. Thank you.
Thank you, Kateryna. So today we had Kateryna Stepanenko in our studio. If you'd like to hear more about stories on North Korean troops being deployed to Russia, please like and subscribe our channel and follow us for more videos like this.
All right, that's a wrap. Let's eat.